Back to Miller. Oh, my goodness.
Herbert.
Sidearm sling, and it's a touchdown.
Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, good spin move by Filipowski for the news. Give him 9.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Beef Up Front podcast here on Pick Swap Media. Your host, Ryan Coyle, back for the weekly episode, NFL Big 5 Games of the Week, a solo edition, as my co-host, Kevin Cannon, is on vacation in Aruba right now, hopefully enjoying himself. So I'll be ripping this one solo, going through the top 5 games of the week, as well as giving my dog of the weekend and my lock of the weekend as well. Recording this on Thursday evening, about an hour before Thursday Night Football kicked off, so we excluded that game for this week, between the Bucs and the Bills. Just to be on the record, I think the Bills are going to win this one and win it big by the time this episode comes out. That game will be over, so I might look completely foolish by then, but I think the Bills find a way to win this game by at least 10 points and cover that 9.5-point spread. Josh Allen 5-0 on Thursday Night Football, and I think the Bucs are starting to reel a little bit with Baker Mayfield. But another week in the books with Week 7. We're on to Week 8, and it's pretty crazy after this week. You've just about played, unless you've had your bye, 50% of your schedule. So, as we always say, you wait all season for the NFL season to come around. Wait all year, for the NFL season to come around. And once it's here, it's fast, and you can't blink or you're going to miss it. So another big week, as always, here on the Beef Up Front NFL Big 5 Games of the Week show, where we highlight what we think are the top 5 games in terms of importance or just good battles, good matchups on the slate. So we started off on Sunday this week at 1 o'clock. The 5-2 Jacksonville Jaguars, sounds pretty weird to say that, at the 4-2 Pittsburgh Steelers, a 1 o'clock kickoff on CBS. The Jags are a 1.5-point favorite on the road here, and an over-under of 41.5. I think it's an interesting matchup because the way the Steelers have played this year, especially with all the criticism surrounding the offense and Matt Canada, you would think they're actually 2-4 in the year. But as always with Mike Tomlin, he just finds ways to win games. The Steelers have the home field in this one, but when you look at the past 2 years, they don't really have that great of a home field advantage. Only 6-5 at home these past 2 years, so I'm not really putting too much stock into a home field advantage in this one. The Steelers might be finding their stride, though. Beat the Rams and Ravens, both by 7 points last 2 weeks. And Mike Tomlin, as an underdog, is just a great coach and tends to have his team plays better in those spots. The Jaguars haven't been that impressive, I think. They are off to a 5-2 start, which, is impressive in that regard. But they haven't really done it with that many style points, as people would say. I'm in the camp that you play, you win, and you move on. That's how it should be. But come down the line, or are they going to be in that upper tier? Are they going to be able to knock off the Chiefs, who they've already lost to? Are they going to not be able to knock off the Ravens, who are looking strong? The Bengals are starting to find their stride. The Jags haven't really shown me that team yet, but it could be on the way. And if they continue to win these games, and especially a weak AFC South, they might find their way to the number 1 overall seed, and that would go a long way, I think, in finding their way potentially to the Super Bowl this year. But sitting at 5-2, they've just been finding ways to win. So I think this is a pure coin flip game. The difference, I think the Jags' offensive line is vulnerable. And when you look at the Steelers, they have arguably the best defensive player in the entire NFL with TJ Watt, who I believe is already at 8 sacks this year. I think this is a prototypical TJ Watt game record type game where the Steelers offense might not have anything cooking, but next thing you know, TJ Watt has two sacks, 3 sacks, and maybe a strip sack fumble, something like that. I think he makes a big play late in this game, and he helps give the Steelers some good field position on a few different plays to potentially give them a better chance at points with the offense that still isn't exactly clicking yet. But with George Pickens and Deontay Johnson back, they're starting to maybe find their stride a little bit. Kenny Pickett looking a little bit better. So I think TJ Watt goes out, has a big game in this one, helps aid the offense and giving them some field position. I think the Steelers win this one outright at home. I'm going to go 23-20 Steelers. So Steelers plus 1.5 in the over of 41.5 hitting there. Second game of the week, we transition to the NFC now. This was the first game off my list before I substituted with the Thursday night game. So this is the second game on our list for this week. It is a 1 o'clock kickoff on Fox between NFC North rivals. The 3-4 Vikings travel to the 2-4 Packers. It is a pick 'em in this one, a straight up pick 'em. Spread is even, so whoever you think's going to win the game, that's what you bet. And the over under is 42. Just looking big picture at the NFC North, I think this is the Lions division to lose. They're sitting on DraftKings Sportsbook at minus 425 to win the North right now. So barring a collapse, they're going to win the North this year. But both the Vikings and the Packers are still, in the wild card chase. It sounds pretty stupid to kind of rule teams out at this stage of the game unless you're like the Panthers who don't have a win. But I think this game has a potential to be a big separator in whether or not one of these teams is going to be in the playoffs come January. The Vikings win and they're 4-4, 3 games in a row and wins. And then you don't even have Justin Jefferson in the lineup right now. He's coming back eventually. And if the Vikings win, that means the Packers will lose. They fall to 2-5, have a steep uphill battle to go the rest of the way to make the playoffs. But if they win, they're 3-4. They're right back in the mix. Vikings lose, they're 3-5. They're going to be battling to get back to 500. So I think this is a game that you call like a crossroads for both these teams, especially a divisional game. You have a chance to kind of bury one of your divisional opponents if you're the Vikings, burying the Packers, and then the Packers have a chance to kind of get back into it at the mercy of a division opponent. So interesting note on this game, the Packers are 5-3-2 in their last 10 home games against the Vikings. So 2 ties in that span. I find that pretty wild. I just feel like the Vikings, though, are trending up. They found a way to beat the 49ers last week. That should be a huge confidence boost as they're viewed as one of the top 5 teams in the NFL. Jordan Addison's looking like a star. He has 16 catches, 215 yards, and 4 touchdowns over his last 3 games. He's really emerged with Justin Jefferson out of the lineup. With those 2 fully back and healthy, this Vikings team could be more dangerous as the season goes on. Packers are starting to get healthier and might be playing in desperation mode, especially at home in this one, but I just don't trust Jordan Love yet. I mean, he's shown some flashes, but he hasn't really wowed me at all, and I rather would take Kirk Cousins over him in this spot. So I'm going to take the Vikings to get this one on the road, 27-20. So the Vikings there with the pick-em and the over of 42. Third game of the week, probably the game I'm looking forward to most besides the Eagles game, obviously being an Eagles fan in the 1 o'clock slate. That's the 3-4 Rams at the 4-2 Cowboys, 1 o'clock kickoff on Fox. Cowboys are a 6-point favorite here, and the over-under in this one is at 46. I found the stat really interesting, and it kind of caught me off guard when I was digging up some stats for this episode. But going back to last year, and when you combine the start of this year, the Cowboys are 10-1 at home. So for a team that gets shit on for how poorly they tend to perform in the big moments, they handle their business at home, and I just think this is another game where they find a way to do that. I like them to win this game, but I do like the Rams to cover. I think we're going to see a shootout in this one, but I do think the main difference in this one will be the Cowboys' defensive front against the Rams' offensive line. I think this is as I said with TJ Watt earlier against the Jags, I think this is a Micah Parsons game where he has 2 sacks, potentially causes like a fumble, and makes a big play late in this game. I think he could have a field day in this game. But if McVay is able to scheme up some good looks against this Cowboys defense that say what you want about them, but they're an opportunistic group that causes some turnovers, but they can be a little too over-aggressive at times. When you have that great receiver duo right now that we're seeing with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, they should be able to do some damage against this Cowboys secondary on some double moves. So I think this is a spot where we see a lot of points. If the Rams are able to hold up and protect up front, they certainly have a chance to go on the road and pull off this upset. But I think that the pressure from Micah Parsons and that Cowboys front might be a little bit too much for the Rams to handle. I also think this is a spot where Dak could have a good day. He has not had a 300-yard performance once this season, and dating back to last year, he only had 2 300-yard performances. So I think he's due for a big day passing potentially. His over-under in this game is at 244.5 passing yards. So that's a prop I'm looking to hit in this one. I'm going to take the Cowboys to win this game at home in a back-and-forth high-scoring battle, but I will take the Rams to cover. I'm going to go Cowboys 20, Rams 26. So Rams plus 6 in the over of 46. All right, our fourth game of the week. The 4-2 Cleveland Browns, what I was saying about the Jags earlier, 5-2, that's kind of weird to say out loud as well. At the 4-2 Seahawks, a 4:05 kick on Fox. Seahawks are a 2.5-point favorite, and the over-under is 40.5. It's a weird matchup. Like I feel like we never see these two teams play each other. But the Browns have surprised some teams and people around the league out of the gate with this 4-2 start. How good that defense has been. But then last week, they found a way to win a shootout against the Colts. And then this is all with Deshaun Watson, the quarterback that they gave the big contract to, that they traded all the picks for. He's been battling some injury issues, and he hasn't been able to really be full go. PJ Walker has been thrust into action. He's found ways to win games when his number's been called upon. And he's going to start this game again. Deshaun Watson already ruled out. But I just can't good faith pick him to win a game 3 straight weeks, especially with how good Seattle is historically at home. That's a tough place to go into and play. especially for a guy, PJ Walker, where kind of saw it with Gardner Minshew a few weeks ago when he played the Jaguars. He looked pretty good in his first start, the first time he came in relief of Anthony Richardson, and then he kind of reversed back to why he's a backup quarterback. I think PJ Walker could be due for one of those games. Kenneth Walker has really been the driving force of this offense for the Seahawks this year, and he gets a really big test this week with that really good Cleveland defensive front. So I think this one is going to come down to a bit of the passing game by Geno Smith and that really good trio of receivers that he has. I think he's going to have to make some more plays, and Kenneth Walker might not have his best performance in this one. So I think it's a lower scoring game between two defenses that are really strong units that really fly around, but I'm going to take the home team to win here and cover. I'll go Seahawks 23, Browns 17. So Seahawks minus 2.5 in the under of 40.5. All right, our fifth and final game of the week before we get into my dog of the day and my lock of the week. I'm going to take, the fifth game of the week is the 3-3 Bengals coming off a bye at the 5-2 49ers, who have dropped 2 in a row. 4:25 kick on CBS. The 49ers are a 4-point favorite, and the over-under is 43.5. An interesting spot, as we could see Sam Darnold for the first time as a 49er. Brock Purdy dealing with a concussion. Like I said, recording this on Thursday evening. He did participate in practice today, but coming off a short week, getting a concussion on a Monday night, I think it's going to be hard to kind of turn around and bounce back from that one and get cleared in time. So I do think we'll see Sam Darnold in this one. The Bengals coming off a bye. They're starting to find their stride a little bit. 49ers have lost 2 in a row. So you kind of got two teams. It seems like they're going a bit in the opposite direction here. But I think even without Purdy and without Debo missing this week, I believe they're on the bye next week. I think they're just too good of a team to lose 3 in a row and especially drop 1 at home. Bengals getting healthier and starting to click. I wouldn't be surprised to see these two teams meet up in the Super Bowl down the line in February. But I just think in this spot, the 49ers aren't going to drop 3 in a row, whether it is Brock Purdy or Sam Darnold playing quarterback. With the Bengals coming off a bye, they have that extra rest. Joe Burrow might finally be fully healthy. It could be a spot that the Bengals go out and surprise some teams, but 49ers, even if Purdy's not in the lineup, which it doesn't look like, they're still a 4-point favorite here at home. I think that spread's saying the 49ers are going to find a way to win this game. So I will take the 49ers outright 21-20, but I will take the Bengals plus the 4 there in the under of 43.5. All right. Now we get to the dog of the day, which is my underdog money line play. I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans. They're a 3-point home dog in this one to the Atlanta Falcons, plus 120 on the money line. I like that play. Titans, another team coming off a bye. We did see them trade Kevin Byard. They might be in sell mode at the trade deadline, but still, Mike Vrabel as an underdog against a Falcons team that has really had to scratch and claw their way to this 4-3 record that they've started out with. I think that they're not that good of a team. They might just be a team that finds a way to win games, kind of like the New York Giants did last year, but not an overly impressive group. I think this is a good spot to get a team as a home dog in this one, plus money on the money line at 120. I really like the Titans there. And in my lock of the week, I kind of already talked about it, how I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. I really like the over of 46 in that Cowboys-Rams game. I think this is one where we see potentially Dak Prescott and Matthew Stafford both throw for 300 yards. A lot of good receivers in this game. It just has the feel to me of one of those pretty crazy games. I think we're due for that. We haven't really seen many shootouts this year. Could be like, I know I predicted, I believe it was a 30-26 game. It wouldn't surprise me for this one to be like 42-35, something in that ballpark. So over 45.5 in the Cowboys-Rams game is my lock of the week. But that'll do it for this edition of the Beef Upfront Podcast, NFL Big 5 Games of the Week. As always, thank you everyone for listening. Please like, subscribe, and we will talk next week.